Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Before reading the land acknowledgement, just a couple of housekeeping matters. Be sure to silence your phones for those of you in chambers and for the committee members. And when you're speaking at the podium, please adjust the microphone so that you can be heard clearly for the public record. The township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we're situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe people and the ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Ottawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nation, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory, and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so we can move forward towards reconciliation. Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Clark. It is recommended that the agenda for the Development Services Committee meeting of Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 be received and approved.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? The motion is adopted. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Nope, seeing none. If you find yourself in that situation, please declare it at that time. May we have a motion to approve the draft minutes of the previous Development Services Committee meeting?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended that the draft minutes of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, May 6, 2026 be received and approved as printed and circulated.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions, or concerns with regard to those minutes? Seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All those in favor? The motion is carried. With that, our first meeting is at 5:30. However, that meeting has been canceled, so we will wait till 5:45 to commence. However, we may have a report or two that we can deal with that's otherwise later scheduled in the agenda. And I think item 7C, report DS 2026-068, re-official plan amendment. Mr. Karaskakis, do you have any comment on it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, the applications subject to this item were submitted back in 2020, official plan amendments and zoning bylaw amendment applications. There's been several submissions since the original submission, and planning staff are at a point right now where the planning matters have been satisfactorily addressed and can proceed with the proposed recommendations contained in the staff report for committee's consideration. Should also be noted that a future site plan application to implement the proposed development will be submitted at a future date. And anything that should be delegated to the site plan technical review stage will be addressed through that process. So, Mr. Chair, any questions that committee may have available?
Thank you very much, sir. Any question? Yes, please, Mr. Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to Mr. Karaskakis. As you said, this has been going on for a little while now, so different stages at which these studies happened. I did have somebody reach out with a concern about the traffic study. Are we confident that this is up to date and current, or is this something that may have lapsed time-wise?
Through you, Councillor Barr, to Mr. Chair. The traffic report that was prepared by the applicant's consultants was from 2018, I believe, and was reviewed by the township in 2020 by the township's manager of development engineering, and they had no concerns with the contents of that report. The findings of that report were that there would be no impacts to the current road system, and no improvements are required through any of those local streets or the collector road, Soquel Boulevard. So all the intersections were analyzed, and the study concluded that it will provide excellent operations with minimal delays. Staff will look at this through the site plan review stage and determine whether or not an additional addendum to that report. But we're satisfied at this time that the data contained in that traffic report is still valid.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barton. I guess it's fair to say that there really hasn't been any development subsequent to that 2018 report in any event.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, there's been no other developments that have been that have occurred in the Hawkstone settlement area or in close proximity to this development. So there would be no further updates or population updates or lottings or any new road networks that would affect the findings of that study.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, with that, was there any other matter that we would be able to deal with prior to 5:45? Madam Deputy Clerk, any?
Would you like staff to put the draft motion on the floor for consideration for this?
Certainly,
for this item?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Moved by Young, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended, one, that DS 2026-068, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, Re-Official Plan Amendment Application 2020 OPA 01, Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application 2020 ZBA 10, Ukrainian National Federation of Canada, 16 Taras Boulevard, be received and adopted. Two, that official plan amendment application 2020 OPA 01 that would amend Schedule H exceptions of the township official plan by adding an exception for the subject lands to permit a private campground, including 109 seasonal trailer sites, along with ancillary uses, be adopted as amendment number 6 to the Township of Oro-Medonte official plan and be forwarded to the County of Simcoe for approval. 3, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2020 ZBA 10, specifically to change the zoning from agricultural rural exception 1, ARU 1, agricultural rural exception 15, ARU 15, and open space OS to the private recreational exception holding PR 390H zone with site-specific development standards to accommodate the proposed development on the lands be approved. 4, that the required holding H provision not be removed from the zoning of the subject lands until such time as the appropriate site plan is approved by the township, the related site plan agreement is registered, and the township has received the securities identified in the site plan agreement. 5, that staff bring forth the appropriate official plan amendment adopting bylaw and zoning bylaw amendment for council's consideration. 6, that the applicant be advised of the decisions under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments with regard to the draft motion? Seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, we'll take a 5-minute recess and then commence with the ZBA, 2026 ZBA 11 file at 5:45. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Just prior to commencing the first meeting, I'm going to briefly summarize the procedure. Each application will be considered separately. The staff will advise of the purpose and effect of each application, provide any relevant information, note any correspondence that has been received to date, and advise of any statement received from the applicant or if the applicant intends to make a presentation. If so, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make a brief presentation. After the presentation, any members of the public who have registered to provide comments or who are here in chambers will be given the opportunity to speak to the application being considered, and the Deputy Clerk will advise of those who have registered, and finally staff will confirm if further correspondence has been received during the hearing or meeting. There'll be a separate statement read before each meeting and hearing. With that, we move on to application 2026 ZBA11. Applicant is McCaskey. The municipal address is 776 Line 2 South. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment application 2026 ZBA 11, submitted by Sherry and Chris McCaskey on lines municipally known as 776 Line 2 South. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and the requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, May 12th. Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, May 21st. Cheryl Calatry, dated May 21st. Enbridge Gas, dated May 19. Doug Gallier, May 26. Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, May 27. Mo L. Dorini, May 28. Walter and Lucy Gilmore, dated May 31st, 2026.
Thank you very much. I now turn the meeting over to Cameron Sellers, agent, who will explain the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Sellers, please proceed.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you for bumping up that previous item. That's a project I've been working on for upwards of 8 years, and I thought I was going to be here till the end of the night. So thank you all for considering that early. Perfect. Thank you for pulling up the presentation. So I'm Cameron Sellers, here from Innovative Planning Solutions on behalf of the applicants tonight with respect to this temporary use bylaw for lands 776 Line 2 South. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide a brief overview of the application itself and then clarify the very limited scope of the application and the request before council, and to respond to some of the comments that have been received from members of the public and other agencies through the process. So at the outset of this, I want to emphasize that this application is not proposing any new development. It's not proposing a severance or a new driveway. The request itself is much narrower. It's to permit the continued occupancy of an existing dwelling on the property for a limited period of time. So in terms of context, the application is for a temporary use bylaw, which is a planning tool that allows a specific land use to continue for a temporary period of time. In this case, the application relates to the existing farmhouse on the site, with the request being to allow the existing house to continue to be occupied by the residents who are here tonight for a temporary period of 3 years. So the intent is to allow the existing residents to remain in place temporarily while also creating a clear, time-limited framework for future removal of that dwelling. No new buildings are proposed through this application, no site alteration is proposed, and no new access is proposed. The application doesn't seek approval for any additional businesses or storage or rental or any recreational activity on the property. At the conclusion of the temporary use period, the farmhouse is intended to be demolished in accordance with the township's appropriate requirements. From a planning perspective, the benefit of a temporary use bylaw is that it provides a clear approval mechanism, a defined time period, and certainty that the use is not being approved on a permanent basis. Next slide. So this slide shows the current land use designation and zoning for the property. The subject lands are designated and zoned primarily for agricultural rural use as well as environmental protection purposes, as you can see on these slides. The existing land use framework is not proposed to change through this application. This is an important point. The temporary use bylaw does not redesignate lands. It doesn't rezone lands for new permanent use, and it doesn't alter the EP delineation of the lands either, as shown on the mapping. Since the application is limited to the temporary occupancy of an existing dwelling, it does not in itself generate any new environmental impacts. It doesn't generate any new servicing demands or any new construction activity. So this slide shows the proposal. It's an overlay of the site. You can see the secondary house overlaid in, I'll call it red, and then the main house overlaid in blue, and then the agricultural structures overlaid in green. The request is simple. It's simply to allow the existing secondary dwelling to continue to be occupied on a temporary basis. I do want to acknowledge the resident comments that we've received and reviewed in advance of tonight. The comments raise concerns about matters such as noise, recreational vehicle activity, construction activity, fireworks, drainage or groundwater concerns, storage uses, property maintenance, privacy, and the number of driveways. So we do understand that these concerns are important to the neighbors for sure. However, many of those matters are separate from the planning question before you tonight. Which is specific to the temporary use bylaw itself. Those matters that the planning question before you tonight is limited to whether the existing dwelling itself can remain occupied for a temporary period, subject to township's requirements. The temporary use bylaw itself does not require any new driveway, any required removal of an entrance. If the entrance has to be removed, it will be through the township's appropriate process. With respect to drainage, groundwater, or sump pump concerns raised by the residents, the application does not propose any new grading, new buildings, any site alteration itself. Continued temporary occupancy of the dwelling is not expected to alter the drainage or groundwater conditions or the site at all, for that matter. With respect to concerns about the long-term use of the dwelling, the purpose of the temporary use bylaw is to specifically avoid a permanent approval. It establishes a defined 3-year time period and allows the township to maintain control over the use. In our opinion, the application represents a very limited and appropriate planning mechanism on a temporary basis for an existing dwelling to allow the existing residents to continue living there with no anticipated land use impact arising from it, from the continued occupancy of that dwelling itself. So, in closing, the application before you tonight is very narrow and it's temporary. It allows the continued occupancy of the dwelling by these residents. It doesn't approve any new development. And we've reviewed all the agency comments received to date, and they don't identify any objection to the application itself. They don't identify any operational matters. There was one comment about a driveway, but that can be addressed through the township's normal processes. So we respectfully request that you receive this presentation and that the application continue through the township's review process. And with that, I thank you very much and happy to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sellers, for your presentation. To the committee members, do you have any comments or questions with regard to Mr. Sellers' presentation? Seeing none. Madam Deputy Clerk, do we have anybody registered to speak to this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no registrations received.
Thank you. Members of the chambers, is there anyone here who's come to speak to this matter? Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Just
Can I have the floor?
Just one moment, please. Just give me 1 second. We're just clarifying if there's a registered party.
Did you sign at the back
I
here?
signed
That's
there.
different than what registering
Okay,
through.
and my name is Cheryl Calitri, you mentioned me,
Good.
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you very much. Just adjust the microphone for yourself
I'm
so
not
that you
used
can
to
be.
doing this, okay?
I know. That's all right.
There you go.
Thank
I
you
was a
very
teacher,
much.
so I can speak up if you want me to.
No, you have to be able to get recorded. That's
Okay.
that's the issue here. And please state your name.
My name
and
is
then
Cheryl
proceed.
Calitri, and I live at 14 Red Oak Crescent in Shanty Bay. Okay. I'm speaking tonight as strong opposition to the dwelling subject to temporary use zoning bylaw known as 776 Line 2 South. I've lived at 14 Red Oak Crescent since 2012. Having farmland and woods backing onto my property was one of the positive attitudes to purchasing it. The original farmhouse and barn blended in with the serenic surroundings of the second line with many wildlife sightings in our back bush. I did not mind when I saw and heard the farm tractor cutting the crop on their property, but when there was constant noise of dirt bike activity, evenings and all weekends, I was not pleased. As buildings started to be erected on the property, my husband and I wrote to the township as the change in grading seemed to increase our water table and the ongoing pumping of our sump pump. We wanted the township to be aware of these changes. Now, I understand that you've talked about that tonight already, but since then, I even timed it today. We have had dry weather, and every 5 minutes my sump pump is going, and in the spring it is going nonstop. As I am on the seventh property in from the second line, I did not see all the construction of the various buildings being erected on the site as my neighbors experienced. It was only when I traveled on the second line did I see what was going on.
Excuse me. We are here to consider an application for
I know,
temporary use
but I
of a
want you to
dwelling.
get some of the background of what the neighbors are feeling, even though you're just talking about one building. Because if it's just one building now, that's going to go down. There's going to be more happening there. So just let me finish and, okay.
Well,
Sorry.
I'll let you go on for a bit,
Yeah,
but I
it's
do
short.
want to advise you that I am the chair.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. We have to be collegial with one another. But in order for other people to talk about the dwelling itself, they're going to need the time for that.
Okay.
So please, thank you.
I'm almost finished. Okay. It was okay when I said about the second line. But during this time, I've seen spotlights through the bush and heard dump trucks emptying fill, etc., late into the night, which was very alarming. On May 23rd of the long weekend, as I was closing my blinds, I saw major wildfire shooting up on their property. Now, as residents, we have to get fire permits. I don't know about them. This was not your typical evening campfire, and it did not smell like wood. Do they have a permit for this? On Sunday morning, you could still smell it. Typically, maybe this yellow farmhouse could have burnt down too. I don't know. As we are in a close-knit neighborhood, neighbors have shared with me that their concerns about businesses running on the so-called farm property or agricultural area. There's an Airbnb, supposedly, electrical business, and a storage facility for trailers and boats. In conclusion, this green space that we have in Shanty Bay is too valuable to be exploited this way. We take pride in our properties, and this continued development is selfish and I fear will harm our peace of mind for our owners and our properties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yeah. Yes, please.
Sorry, did I cut you off? I'll make it short.
Just please state your name and.
Yes, Doug Galea, 6 Red Oak.
No, into the microphone. Yeah, thank
Can you
you.
hear me now?
Yes, we can.
6
Thank you
Red
very
Oak.
much.
Okay. About the house. I actually don't have an issue with the home, provided it's torn down in 3 years. It's not unsightly. My issue is with all of you, that you do not enforce bylaws. And he is broken by, I know you're going to want to interrupt me, but this is my only opportunity to talk.
It may be, but you have to adopt a certain level of decorum, and you can't be abusing the members of council or the members of this committee.
When I'm paying taxes for certain things, for bylaws to be enforced, and I move into a house intentionally looking for agricultural to back onto, and he has run a number of businesses, renting containers, potentially doing events there in the evening, and I've complained for 8 years or so, received zero from this group here about enforcing bylaws. What is my opportunity to say something? I've written many letters, they've all been ignored, and I hear we're working with them for compliance. That doesn't mean issuing a permit to make it compliant. But they've done that. He's got an issue, he's got a permit apparently for all the rental containers instead of having them removed. So where do I get my option to?
May I?
Is it legally? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I understand that you have a very strong concern, as do perhaps others, with regards to matters that are secondary to this application here tonight, and that may flow from the matter of how bylaw enforcement is managed, or at the end of the day, feedback on what may have been a complaint. I'm more than happy to meet with you outside of these chambers on that matter, as I am sure is the mayor, and we will come to some sort of an agreement with whomever would like to meet with us on that basis. But we are here tonight for one reason, and that is to determine whether or not the temporary use of this building will be permitted for 3 more years. So if there are any comments that are to be made about that, then please make them.
Okay. Provided
and trust me, we will deal with your matter if you come to us.
I will be coming to you.
Thank you very much.
And I look forward to that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And like I stated earlier, provided it's torn down in 3 years, I do not have an issue. I do not want to put somebody on the street, and it's not an unsightly home. But to me, it's just a sign and a symptom of the cancer that's happening behind me. Okay, so we will be in contact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, please, ma'am. Yes. Please come up and state your name.
Hi.
Thank you.
Lucy Gilmore and my husband here, Walter, and we're from 8 Red Oak Crescent. I have no opposition to the home for the same reason. I don't think that these people should be left homeless. They're lovely. We've met a couple of times. I've met the neighbors. They're lovely people on 776 Line 2 South. Very amicable. We've been working back and forth on some issues. If there's any problem, that we're to let them know. I share the same concern as Doug, and I would be happy to meet with you as well around non-conforming uses that we know, and I know for sure because I called one of the services and they said, oh we're here, and it was that address. So I would like those addressed, but I have no opposition to the home for 3 years. I don't know if there's an opportunity in this process when and if it's approved that they cannot reapply at the end of it, or if it's permanent. I'm not sure if that's such a thing. And then because I think there are also now 3 driveways, so although there wasn't a driveway added, I think there's a driveway that's maybe not supposed to be there. I'm not sure. I don't know. But my hope is that the long-term intent of any approvals and applications in this property is to be kept with its original intent, which is agricultural rural, with EP from both Simcoe and Nottawasaga, and that that other considerations aren't approved. It is leaning towards now becoming a commercial industrial property, and it is backing onto a significantly sized subdivision, and it's not just the ones that are backing onto it that then have to deal with the downfall of that. Having said that, again, I want this to be amicable. The neighbors are lovely. The couple that lives in the house are lovely. And it's my hope that we can kind of all work this out. I don't even disapprove of non-conforming uses being applied and approved, provided that there's no impact to us and any non-conforming uses are actually at bylaws are enforced. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Is there anyone else in chambers who wishes to speak to this matter? Oh, thank you very much. Seeing none. Any further questions arising from the comments from the public? Oh, seeing none. Any further correspondence received during the course of the meeting?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing's been received.
Thank you, Mr. Karaskakis. So this completes the application process for the purposes of the meeting. And wish to thank everyone for their participation, whether you wrote in or whether you came here to speak passionately about the matter. Thank you for that. When and if a decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or has signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to the application. So thank you very much. With that, I think we are able to proceed to the next item on the agenda. Application 2026 ZBA 12 and 2026 B04. The applicant is Murray, and the municipal address is 3784 Line 7 North. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment applications 2026 ZBA 12 and consent application 2026 B04, submitted by Patty and Martin Murray on lands municipally known as 3784 Line 7 North. Please be advised that this meeting is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment and consent applications. Madam Deputy Clerk, have there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, May 13, and Bridge Gas, May 20. Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, May 21, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, May 26, and Simcoe County Planning Department dated May 28, 2026.
Thank you very much. Now turn the meeting over to Craig Matheson, agent, who will explain the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment and the consent applications and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Matheson, please.
Hi there, can you hear me?
I can indeed, sir. Please proceed.
My name is Craig Matheson, planner at Skelton Bromwell. I prepared the planning justification report on behalf of the applicant and property owner. So this is in relation to a zoning bylaw amendment and consent to create one new lot at the client's property located at 3784 Line 7 North, Oro-Medonte. Next slide, please. The property is about 8.5 hectares in size with two separate road frontages along Line 7 North, 100 metres at the northeastern end of the site adjacent to the existing dwelling, and a 43-metre frontage at the southeastern end. It is currently used for rural residential purposes, with the owner residing in the primary dwelling located on the northeastern part of the property. The road fronting portion of the property has been mostly cleared for development purposes, while the rear two-thirds remain largely untouched and naturalized. This rear portion of the site is in the MVCA regulation area and contains woodlands, wetlands, and a stream which defines the western property boundary. Next slide, please. Historical aerial imagery also shows the road fronting portion of the property cleared and the rear part of the property left in its naturalized state. The yellow area is the MVCA regulation area. Next slide, please. The lands are designated rural and greenlands under the official plan and agricultural, rural, and environmental protection under the zoning bylaw. The slide shows the current zoning with the proposed lot area in the ARU zone. Next slide, please. A planning justification report and environmental impact study was prepared for the application. The proposal seeks to create one additional lot for rural residential use in the southeastern portion of the lands. The existing dwelling will remain on the retained lot, resulting in a total of 2 lots. The proposed lot will front directly onto Line 7 North and is located within the already cleared area. It will not impact any natural heritage features which are confined to the rear western portion of the retained lands. Next slide, please. The severed lot will be a rectangular shape with 43 metres of frontage along line 7 north, a depth of 91 metres, and a total area of about 0.39 hectares. The retained lot will encompass the remaining 8.15 hectares of the site and includes the existing detached dwelling. Next slide, please. A consent to sever is required to facilitate the proposed lot. The new lot would be rezoned to ARU, from ARU to the Rural Residential 2 zone. The Rural Residential 2 zone requires a minimum lot area of 0.4 hectares and a minimum frontage of 45 metres. The proposed lot will have an area of 0.39 hectares and frontage of 43 metres. So this results in a 0.01 hectare lot size reduction and a 2 metre frontage reduction relative to the standard. So zoning relief is required for this. All other standards of the Rural Residential 2 zone can be complied with. It is also proposed to expand the EP area in the western end of the property, which relates to the larger wetland extent, which was identified through the EIS prepared for the application. Next slide, please. So overall, the project allows for the creation of one lot in an existing cleared area of the site and will not result in impacts to natural heritage features. Our review of the project found that it aligns with planning policies and represents good planning. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions from the committee with regard to this application? Thank you very much. Seeing none. Is there anyone who is registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no registrations received.
Okay, has anyone in chambers come to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Have we received any comments or inquiries or further correspondence during the course of the meeting?
Oh, no, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I think, Mr. Matheson, your report has answered everybody's questions. So this would complete the application process and close this meeting. And the committee wishes to thank everyone for their participation, either through their written or oral comments. And the decision, when necessary, will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or has signed the notice of a decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to the application. Madam Deputy Clerk, did you have a comment?
No, we were just looking at the time,
Yes,
which I'm sure
okay.
you're
Oh, I
aware.
see.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Sorry.
No worries. We have a couple of minutes yet. We can have a little recess. So with that, we'll wait a couple of moments and then recommence at 6:15.
Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. With that, we'll move on to application 2026A15. The applicant is the John Demchuk Estate. Municipal address is 39 Campbell Avenue. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2026A15 submitted by Jacqueline Demchuk and Krim Grippo executors on land municipally known as 39 Campbell Avenue. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on this minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Yes, correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, May 22nd, and Operations Division, dated May 26, and Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, dated May 26, 2026.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Patton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2026A15 is for 39 Campbell Avenue. The property is designated shoreline, zoned shoreline residential, and is currently vacant. The purpose of the application is to build a single detached dwelling with an attached garage that has a reduced front yard setback of 3 meters, 9.8 feet, and a reduced setback of 2.6 meters, 8.5 feet from the top of bank of the watercourse. The property is located on the east side of Campbell Avenue. The property is vacant and has a lot area of 0.17 hectares, 0.42 acres, and is generally treed. The surrounding area consists of residential uses. The subject property is regulated by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority under Ontario Regulation 4124 for flood and erosion hazard associated with the Allingham Creek. The LSRCA provided comments dated May 26, 2026, advising that the proposal had not demonstrated conformity with the natural hazard policies of the applicable provincial, regional, and local plans at this time. The photo on the left shows the public notice sign posted along Campbell Avenue, and the photo on the right shows looking east along Campbell Avenue. This here shows the site plan. The proposed dwelling is outlined in red with the watercourse in blue and the top of bank identified in yellow. These are the elevation drawings for the proposed dwelling. Photos from the site visit showing the approximate proposed location of the dwelling and a portion of the watercourse are on that slide. Township staff are recommending deferral of the application to allow the applicant the opportunity to address the comments provided by the LSRCA, specifically that they submit a topographic survey prepared in geodetic format by an Ontario land surveyor, a hydraulic analysis prepared by an engineer to the satisfaction of the LSRCA, demonstrated conformity with Section 5.2 of the Provincial Plating Statement, and successfully obtain a permit from the LSRCA. Planning staff have been working with the applicant and the LSRCA to address these comments, and once addressed, the proposal will be evaluated to determine whether the tests are met and will be brought forward to a future meeting. That is all. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patton. With that, is the applicant or the agent for the applicant registered to speak to this application?
No, there were no registrations received.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant here or no? Do you have any committee members? Do you have any questions for staff? No, seeing none. Is there anyone registered to speak to the matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, there were no public registrations received.
Okay, and do I hazard a guess that there are no further communications received on the matter?
Correct, Mr. Chair. Nothing further has been received.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, sir?
Are we able to speak on behalf of this matter?
Yes, and please come up and state your name Yes, there's no charge. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Sue Weir and my husband Steve Weir. We have been living at 4 Creek Lane, which is adjacent to the property, the subject property, for the past 10 years. We do recognize that it is registered within the Lake Simcoe Conservation Region. Sorry, I'm losing my words here. Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, and it has been deemed a flooding and erosion hazard. We can speak to the level of erosion that has happened in even the past 3 years, and even since the ice storm. To have that variance reduced to the 2.6 meters that they're requesting from top of bank, that water course has changed in so many different ways in the past 5 years, that to only have that variance would just seem ludicrous for the preservation and sustainability of that bank in that area. And that's sort of all we really wanted to bring to everybody's attention.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for bearing witness to that. Any further comments from staff or committee members? Okay. Madam Deputy Clerk, may we have the motion?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2026-070, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, minor variance application 2026-A15, Demchek Estate, 39 Campbell Avenue, be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2026-A15, specifically to permit the construction of a single detached dwelling with a reduced front yard setback of 3.0 meters, 9.8 feet, and a reduced setback of 2.6 meters, 8.5 feet, from the top of bank of the watercourse on lands municipally known as 39 Campbell Avenue, be deferred to provide the applicant the opportunity to address the comments provided by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority dated May 26, 2026, contained in DS 2026-070. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. I'll just stay the vote for a moment. I believe there was a request to speak from the back of the room. If you could please step up, sir, and state your name.
My name is John Lowell, and I'd like to add a little bit more to the previous lady. That area there, that creek, has definitely made some changes over the years, and some of them fairly drastic. And I think I would have some concerns as to what is it to the future. Originally, that I understand back in the 60s or 70s, the early part of the 70s, that creek was changed in direction, and originally I heard it was unauthorized from a neighbor that was living there at the time in one of the other facilities adjacent to it, and it used to go, instead of making a circular pattern the way it does, it used to go straight through and meet up down further towards the creek, the lane that she was talking about. And when and from what I understand, it was not authorized at the time. It sort of got dealt with after the fact. Then we back in the 90s, we had the big flood. And when the big flood came on, all the filling that was used to take the original creek path out of the picture was completely washed out, and it ended up down at the mouth of that creek at the lake, and blocked the entrance to the lake, except for a trickle. And it stayed that way for up to probably a couple more years. And Mother Nature right now is, every time we have a thaw or we have a heavy rain, Mother Nature has now created its own path to take it back to the way it was before. And again, it seems to be very unstable, that whole area, and that's sort of our concern. And then plus the fact that we have that whole area is under a septic situation with the regional special circumstances. So just to fill you in on that, that was what I know of it at this date. I lived there for 33 years, and then that for the last 20 years, that thing has been gradually more and more eroding, and Mother Nature's taking it back to that other course. You almost got to feel that it should be taken back to that. But that's all I've just got.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry. Oh, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, sorry, through you to Ms. Patton. Just some concerns that have come from the public on this matter. Can you just kind of confirm that part of what Lake Simcoe would be looking for would be a slope stabilization survey, or that is the kind of feedback they would be requesting the applicant to fulfill before this would move forward? Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Mayor, that's correct. They're requiring a number of studies that will determine that everything that was discussed in the concerns would be addressed. So making sure there are no further erosion hazards and making sure that it would just be a suitable location for the dwelling. So we're working with the applicant and the LSRCA to determine that those studies can be completed to properly site the dwelling.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. So just so you know, the participants understand is this is the process that is taking place before a decision would be allowed to permit that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patton and Mr. Mayor. Now, we've had the draft motion already read. Are there any questions with regard to the draft motion? Seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? The matter is carried, and the matter is deferred at the moment. So the committee wishes to thank everybody for their attendance and participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, anyone else who has submitted comments, written or verbal, and who has signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to this application. So thank you very much, and we can now move on to item 2026A16. The applicant is Strawn or Strachan. The municipal address is 2307 Lakeshore Road East. A public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2026A16 submitted by Mark and Mary Strachan on lands municipally known as 2307 Lakeshore Road East. Please be advised that this meeting is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on this minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has been correspondence received on the matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, May 22nd, Operations Division, May 26th, and Mark Strand, dated May 29, 2026.
Thank you very much. Now turn the meeting over to Brent Spagnol, Director of Development Services, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Spagnol, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. The minor variance application before committee relates to a renovation and an addition to an existing accessory detached building or garage on the property. The property is designated shoreline and is zoned shoreline residential and is currently being used for residential purposes. The next slide, please. The subject property, as noted earlier in the presentation, is located along Lake Simcoe. It is located along Lakeshore Road East, and the depiction up there up on the screen just shows the existing zoning and an aerial photo, just so that committee can get an idea of the residential character of the neighborhood, the community. The minor variance being proposed this evening is really seeking for a variance to the maximum permitted height for the accessory building. The proposal is looking for a height of 5.15 meters, and that's measured from the peak to the midpoint of the building for the accessory structure. And the variance is also looking for an increase in total floor area of approximately 101.42 square meters, or 1,084 square feet. The reason for the increase in the floor area is really tied to the I guess redesign of the roof structure, where it essentially changes the pitch of the roof, which means that there's more floor area that's available for use in the storage loft, or what would be a second story. Staff will note that there's a plus minus there. The reason for that is it's more or less to provide some flexibility in the decision, because the measurement of the floor area is done from a vertical distance between 1.8 meters of the floor, and that only captures the area that is surpasses 1.8 meters, so that's a vertical distance from the floor to the pitch of the roof. Next slide, please. This site plan shows the location of the existing structure. You'll note, I'll note that it's located in the front yard, much like many accessory structures located along the street. Again, it is an existing building, and it complies with the setbacks in the zoning bylaw. This is an elevation of what the building would look like. You'll note I'll note the different pitch in the roof structure, so you can see that there's a more slanted roof, and then it peaks up a little bit more to provide for more storage space and a loft-like feature in the existing building. These pictures just show the notice of the sign posting, again similar and characteristic to the area. There is cedar hedges around the perimeter of the property. You can barely see the structure. You can see the peak of the roof on the picture on the left. The middle photo is just a depiction again of what the existing structure currently looks like with the roof pitch, and the same with the photo on the right with the garage view from the house. Staff are recommending approval of the minor variance as it's considered to meet all four tests. The standard conditions apply. Now, one condition that staff have referenced pertains to the placement of windows along the immediate property line to the southern property line, where there's a condition that's being recommended to not have windows provided for in the second story or the storage loft. But otherwise, staff are of the opinion that the minor variance meets the four tests subject to that condition. Staff are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spagnol. Now ask the applicant, Mark Strawn, who is registered to speak to the application, if he wishes to provide any further comment or indicate anything further to be added to the staff presentation. Sir, please state your name and proceed.
As you've said, I'm Mark Strawn, the applicant. I did raise an objection just to the planning recommendation about the window removal. The window had been placed in the design just to more allow for ventilation and light. It's an unheated and not overly equipped electrical loft. So it was more light and airflow. There's a number of other neighbors that have similar kind of vantage points and structures in the area that have been allowed recently to have windows in the same kind of general direction with proximity to the lot line. And then obviously the space is inhabitable. It's loft storage space. There's not really anyone up there to be viewing or spying on neighbors. But and the last point I'd make is that given a prior planning approval for this this renovation that was approved in May of 2025, I've already, based on the designs, I'd already ordered and placed, paid, and had custom windows delivered. So I have that in cost incurred already. I'd rather not forego that if not needed. Last offer I'd make is if there is an objection from a neighbor about those windows, maybe to frost them or color them or something to try to alleviate concerns. Okay? That's all I have.
Thank you very much, sir. So, committee members, do you have any questions with regard to this application first? Yes, Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Through you to Mr. Spagnol. Could you please maybe explain about the requirement for not having the windows so we can have some context?
Through Mr. Chair to Committee Member Hutchison. After a site visit, staff took a look at the height of the hedges, took a look at where the windows would be situated, and it was just thought that the condition would be appropriate given that the windows would be peering over into the neighboring property. I can concur with Mr. Strawn. There are situations in building conditions in some of the accessory buildings along the street that do have windows that do project into neighboring properties. And there have been minor variances that we've considered where such a condition has not been imposed. It was through staff's review of this that I thought it was necessary to have such a condition. However, of course, the decision is committee's hands to determine whether or not it's an appropriate condition that the committee would like to see imposed.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you. Through Deputy Mayor LeBlanc to Mr. Spagnol. There was another application of a height extension that would be about within half a dozen properties from this property. And I know, I don't believe it had, but were the conditions put in on that accessory building, or were that was just the design of the building at the time?
Through Mr. Chair to Mayor Greenlaw. The condition was not imposed in that specific situation. Looking back, I think I probably would have asked for that condition to be imposed, but I can confirm that in that specific build, with respect to that specific minor variance, the same condition was not imposed.
Okay, supplemental.
Yes, please proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, just a supplemental, and then I'm just trying to, Mr. Strong, would it be, as you suggested, potentially frosting the windows, which would make them not a viewing point, but frosting the windows would actually enhance the light within the storage area up there? Would you be comfortable if that was a condition within the approval?
Yes, I would. I didn't know if any neighbors or anything had an actual objection to it either. I don't know who would have maybe communicated an objection, but my thought was I obviously want to proceed. If got the windows, if that's what's required, I'd accept that.
Well, thank you.
Councillor Schell, yes, please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask the same question Councillor Hutchinson did to Mr. Spagnol. So, other than aesthetics, these windows are not going to interfere with structure of the building?
Through Mr. Chair to Committee Member Schell, the building would be subject to a building permit application. Any structural consideration would be dealt with through a building permit, but my understanding is the windows are not just aesthetic. As Mr. Strawn's indicated, they're required for airflow and lighting and things of that nature with respect to the storage loft. But structurally speaking, the windows would be required to meet building code, and the structure would be required to meet building code.
Yeah, thank you. I figured that.
Yes, thank you very much. What I was struggling with at the beginning, Councillor Young.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just so I'm clear, Brent, on that, the building code requires windows to be placed in that wall. Is that what I heard from you?
Through Mr. Chair to Committee Member Young, what I was confirming is that structurally speaking, the windows are not just aesthetic. They're actually required as a function of the building, but the structural integrity of the roof and whatnot would be confirmed through building permit and under the building code. So it would have to be building code requirements.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. What I was struggling with at the beginning was the notion, Mr. Strawn, that there was a earlier application in 2025. Is that what I understand? Perhaps Director Spagnol, if you have an answer.
Mr. Chair, that would have been an application, I believe it was in 2024. It was for a larger building, and there were windows that were placed immediately along the lot line. So there was a minor variance where a similar condition was not imposed.
That involved Mr. Strawn's property?
No, this is a different property along the street.
Mr. Strawn, sorry, could you address that point for a moment?
So,
I may have misunderstood.
My point was made that I submitted plans back in the spring of 2025. Those plans were received and fully approved by the Planning Committee without any request for minor variance. Then, as I proceeded to get building permit this year, earlier in this year, February, it came to light that that planning approval was reversed, and then I had to go back through the planning process. There were errors made on the behalf of my representative in the submissions, but there was also, I think, failures on the part of the planning team to communicate in a timely manner concerns that they did have. Now, I've worked with Brent and others at the planning team to reapply and proceed. I have been delayed 3 months, but I am trying to get this back on track and proceed and work, and Brent's been helpful in getting that done.
Thank you very much, sir, for the clarification. Yes.
Mr. Chair, and just for clarification, my apologies, there's a couple of matters here. The zoning certificate that was considered would not have considered the placement of windows or things of that nature. The only reason why the windows are coming to the forefront of this committee is because now there's an application to ask for relief for a minor variance. So Mr. Strawn is correct in that those windows would not have been flagged through that process.
Right.
But that's because that's through a standard building permit process. The only reason why the condition's being asked for in this case is because Mr. Strawn's asking for relief from something to do with the zoning bylaw as it pertains to height.
Thank you very much. And the root of my concern was whether or not a detrimental reliance had been formed on the basis of a prior approval that caused the applicant to go out and take action, spend money, or otherwise undertake certain things in order to complete his project. Okay, thank you very much. I'm in support as well, I suppose, of a frosting at the very least of the windows, if that's suitable to the applicant and is suitable for staff to make amendment to the
Mr. Chair, we have there was an additional registration received from Mary Strawn that is online. If we can just confirm if she has any comments, please.
Oh, yes. Okay, please.
No, I was just here to observe the process, so I understood what was happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Strawn. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I believe, Mr. Strawn, you are acceptable. If you could come up and state that, please, for the record, to the frosting, however applied, probably could be applied to the existing windows.
Yeah, I'm accepting of that.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. And if we could amend the motion appropriately, then. Just stand by for the amendment of the amendment.
Mr. Chair, if we could just double check if there was anybody in the gallery that had that would like to provide comments, please.
Thank you very much for the reminder. Is there anyone in the gallery who's come to speak to this matter? Seeing none.
So we'll receive the report and add an amendment to that condition 3B. That condition 3B be amended as follows: that the window installation shall occur on the southerly wall of the storage loft of the garage and be frosted. If that's sufficient with the mover and seconder, which is Councillor Hutchison and Councillor Young.
And they both record yes as their answers.
Thank you. Moved by Hutchison. Would you like me to put the motion on the floor now?
I think you've read it once before, previously. No, you have not. Please put the motion on the
Just
floor.
the amendment that staff made.
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2026-073, Brent Spagnell, Director, Development Services, Reminder Variance Application 2026-A16, Strawn, 2307 Lakeshore Road East be received and be received. 2, that minor variance application 2026-A16 be approved, subject to the conditions outlined in DS 2026-073 to specifically provide relief from Bylaw 9795 as amended on lands municipally known as 2307 Lakeshore Road East, Township of Oro-Medonte, to permit a redesign of the roof for the existing detached garage as follows: maximum height of 5.15 meters, 16.9 feet, maximum floor area of approximately 101.42 square meters, 1,064 square feet, and that condition 3B be amended as follows: that the window installation shall occur on the southerly wall of the storage loft of the garage and be frosted. 3, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions or amendments for the motion, please? Seeing none, may I call the vote? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. The committee wishes to thank everyone for their participation and their patience, and thank you, Mr. Strawn, for appearing here today. And a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or who has signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to this application. So with that, we'll carry on with application number 2026A17. The applicants are BIC. The municipal address is 131 Robinson Street, and this public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the minor variance application 2026A17, submitted by Wanda and Donald Bick on lands municipally known as 131 Robinson Street. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been any correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division dated May 22nd, 2026.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Patton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2026-A17 is for 131 Robinson Street. The property is designated rural in the county official plan and shoreline in the township official plan. It is zoned shoreline residential in the zoning bylaw and is being used for residential purposes. The purpose of the application is to permit the construction of a 30.7 square meter, 330.5 square foot sunroom addition to the rear of the dwelling on a portion of the existing deck that has a reduced setback of 7.9 meters, 25.9 feet from the top of bank of the watercourse, where 30 meters, 98.4 feet is required. The proposal otherwise complies with the zoning bylaw. The property is located on the south side of Robinson Street with frontage on Lake Simcoe. The property has a lot area of 0.38 hectares, 0.95 acres, and as shown on the aerial image, contains a single detached dwelling, detached garage, and a boathouse. The subject property is partially regulated by the LSRCA under Ontario Regulation 4124 for erosion hazard associated with the Hawkstone Creek and erosion and flooding hazards associated with Lake Simcoe. The LSRCA was circulated the application and noted in their comments that based on the existing site context, the manicured lawn, existing dwellings, general context of the watercourse, they can support the encroachment into the 30-meter minimum watercourse buffer. This photo on the left shows the public notice sign posted along Robinson Street, and the photos on the right show west and east along Robinson Street. The site plan shows the existing dwelling and deck with the proposed addition in red and the watercourse in blue. The intent of the 30-meter setback to the top of bank of the watercourse is to provide a protective buffer that protects environmental functions and minimizes any risks relating to flooding. The proposed sunroom addition is to be located partially on the footprint of the existing deck, not projecting any closer to the watercourse than the existing deck, with the balance projecting towards the lake. This slide shows the elevation drawings for the sunroom addition. Here we have the floor plan of the proposed 5.9 meter, 19.2 feet by 5.2 meter, 17.2 feet sunroom addition. The photo on the left shows the existing dwelling taken from the driveway, and the photo on the right shows the location of the existing deck and where the proposed sunroom addition will be located. The photo on the left shows the setback from the proposed sunroom addition to the watercourse. As mentioned, the proposed siting of the sunroom addition will not further project to the watercourse than the existing deck, and the photo on the right shows the watercourse. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application 2026A17 be approved on the basis that the application meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act and conforms to or is consistent with applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies and represents good planning. The conditions outlined on the screen are standard minor variance conditions. That concludes my presentation, and I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patton. Now ask the applicant, Wanda Bick, who is registered to speak to the application if she wishes to provide any further comment, or Mr. Don Bick, if he prefers, if you have anything to add to the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we need to add anything further.
The applicant declares that he doesn't have anything further to address at this moment to the application. It seems fairly straightforward. Thank you very much. Committee members, do you have any comments or questions for the applicant or the staff? Seeing none. Anyone registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Yeah. Yes, Keith Tyndall's registered.
Okay, thank you very much. Is Mr. Tyndale here present? Yeah, thank you very much. Please, sir, you do have to go up and speak into the microphone for the public record. Just state your name, sir.
Certainly, Keith Tyndall.
Yes.
I'm the next door neighbor with the watercourse. And it's not really a watercourse. It's just a part-time drainage ditch like anyone else's property has. So I understand, you know, I went through this 8 years ago when I tried to build, and when the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority fellow came out, you know, he was standing in the middle of the watercourse, and he said, "Where is the watercourse?" And I said, "You're standing in it." He said, "Obviously someone in the GIS department got a little overexcited and colored it blue, because every property on that street has a drainage ditch and should, you know, proper landscaping, right?" So anyway, I'm glad there isn't a problem moving forward here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming out in support of your neighbor. Is anyone else registered to speak, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you. Did anyone else wish to come out and speak about the watercourse here tonight? Seeing none? No. Thank you. Any further correspondence received on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further.
Thank you very much. May I have the motion, please, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended that DS 2026-071, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, minor variance application 2026A17, BIC 3131 Robinson Street be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2026A17, specifically to permit the construction of a sunroom addition with a reduced setback of 7.9 meters, 25.9 feet from the top of bank of the watercourse on lands municipally known as 131 Robinson Street, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2026-071. 3, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, or concerns with regard to the draft motion? Saying none, may I call the vote? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Please enjoy fishing in the watercourse off your new dock. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or has signed the notice of decision sheet located in the back of the room in regard to the application. So thank you very much. With that, we can move on to application 2026B06 and 2026B07. Bartor Associates Limited. The municipal address is Concession 6, Part Lot 27, Reference Plan 51R16789, Part 1, in the former Township of Oro. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the consent applications 2026B06 and 2026B07 submitted by Bartor Associates Limited on lands municipally known as Concession 6, Part Lot 27, Reference Plan 51R16789, Part 1 in the former Township of Oro. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the consent applications. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division dated May 21, Building Division dated May 22, Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority dated May 26, and Enbridge Gas dated May 28, 2026.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent applications and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. McCarroll, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The subject property is located at Concession 6, Part Lot 27, Reference Plan 51R16789, Part 1 in the former Township of Oro. The subject property is designated Greenlands in Shoreline in the Township's official plan, and it is zoned agricultural rural, and the current use of the property is vacant. Next slide. The purpose of consent application 2026B06 is a boundary adjustment. The lands that are proposed to be severed have a frontage of 0 meters, a depth of 45.7 meters, and an area of approximately 0.14 hectares. The lands to be retained would have a frontage of approximately 472.2 meters, an irregular lot depth, and an area of approximately 53.1 hectares. And then the total merged lands, which is 252 Lakeshore Road West, would have a frontage of 28.7 meters, an approximate depth of 91.4 meters, and an area of 0.28 hectares. Next slide. The purpose of consent application 2026B07 is another boundary adjustment. This one's with 254 Lakeshore Road West. The lands to be severed would have a frontage of 0 meters, a depth of 45.7 meters, and an area of 0.28 hectares. The lands to be retained is the same dimensions that I had on the previous slide. And then the total merged lands, which is 254 Lakeshore Road West, would have a frontage of 30.4 meters, a depth of 91.4 meters, and an area of 0.4 hectares. Next slide. These are the applicant's consent sketches. The image on the left shows the retained lands, which is the large parcel that's outlined in red. And then the image on the right shows the zoomed in map, which shows the lands to be severed in blue for consent application 2026B06, which will be merged with 252 Lakeshore Road West. And then the lands to be severed in green for consent application 2026 B07, and it would be merged with 254 Lakeshore Road West. Next slide. The map on the left-hand side is an aerial image of the property. Subject lands are outlined in red, and they are currently vacant. And then the lands to be severed and merged are circled in yellow. And then the map on the right-hand side shows the existing zoning. Subject lands are zoned agricultural rural, and then the benefiting lands are zoned shoreline residential. And one of the recommended conditions is that the lands to be severed and merged be rezoned to the shoreline residential zone to match the benefiting lands. Next slide. The map on the left shows that the subject lands are designated greenlands and rural in the county's official plan, and the lands to be severed and the benefiting lands are designated rural. And then the map on the right shows that the subject lands are designated greenlands and shoreline in the township's official plan, and the lands to be severed and the benefiting lands are designated shoreline. Next slide. This map shows that the subject lands contain a significant woodland and unevaluated wetland, but since a boundary adjustment isn't considered development, because no new lot is being created, there are no natural heritage policy concerns. Next slide. These photos show the public notice signs that were posted along all 3 roads where the subject lands have frontage. Next slide. These photos show the views looking both north and south along Line 6 South. Next slide. These are the views looking east and west along Lakeshore Road West. Next slide. And then these are photos of the views looking north and south along Line 5 South. Next slide. These are photos of the lands that are proposed to be severed and merged with 252 Lakeshore Road West. Next slide. These are photos of the benefiting lands. So the photo on the left shows 252 Lakeshore Road West, and then the photo on the right shows 254 Lakeshore Road West, which is currently vacant. Next slide. This is a photo of the retained lands when viewed from Line 6 South. As you can see, the property is densely treed. Next slide. It is recommended that consent applications 2026 B06 and 2026 B07 be approved, as the applications conform to and are consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township land use policies, and they represent good planning. All the conditions are listed on this slide and the following 9 slides, and they're all standard conditions, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. I'll now ask the applicant, Sim Holmberg, who's registered to speak to the application, if he wishes to provide any comments, indicate anything further to be added to the staff presentation. Mr. Holmberg, sir, please state your name and proceed.
Sim Holmberg.
Sim, thank you very much.
I bought the property in 1985, I think, so it couldn't be developed. And over the course of the years, people have wanted to double their land. So I've been selling people a parcel when they approached me. So if you look on that slide, there are 26 parcels that people have already bought. So when these other people approach me, I just straighten the boundary, and it's used to be a very simple process, not a simple process anymore. So, and I don't want to develop the land, just want to keep it the way it is. I grew up there as a kid. It was cottage country for me.
Thank you very much, sir.
And according to this, no one had any objections, right? There was no...
I didn't see any such correspondence. Are there any questions from the committee members with regard to the applicant or to staff? Oh, seeing none. Is anyone registered to speak to the matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. Did anyone come in chambers here to speak to this application? Seeing none. Looks like we're in the clear here. Have you received any further communication or correspondence with regard to this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Thank you very much. May we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2026-065, Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, read consent application 2026-B06 and 2026-B07, Barter Associates Limited, Concession 6, Part Lot 27, Reference Plan 51R, 16789, Part 1, Oro, be received and adopted. 2, that consent application 2026-B06 be approved to permit a boundary adjustment having a lot frontage of 0.0 meters, 0.0 feet, a depth of approximately 47.7 meters, 149.9 feet, and an area of approximately 0.14 hectares, 0.34 acres, to be added to 252 Lakeshore Road West, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2026-065. 3, that consent application 2026-B07 be approved to permit a boundary adjustment having a lot frontage of 0.0 meters, 0.0 feet, a depth of approximately 45.7 meters, 149.9 feet, and an area of approximately 0.28 hectares, 0.69 acres, to be added to 254 Lakeshore Road West, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2026-065. 4, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments with regard to the draft motion? No, seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, sir. And the committee wishes to thank all those in their attendance for their participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or who has signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to this application. With that, we can proceed to application number 2026B08. The applicant is Lynch. The municipal address is Part East Half Lot 10, Concession 12, Part 1 on Reference Plan 51R 45102 in the former Township of Oro. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the consent application 2026B08 submitted by John and Michelle Lynch on lands municipally known as Part East Half Lot 10, Concession 12, Part 1 on Reference Plan 51R 45102 in the former Township of Oro. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on this consent application. I'll now turn the meeting over to David Scarsaloni, agent, who will explain the purpose. Oh, excuse me, I do have to get the correspondence received first. Just give me one moment, sir. Any correspondence received on this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, May 21, Building Division, dated May 25th, County of Simcoe Transportation and Engineering Department, May 25th, and Enbridge Gas, dated May 26, 2026.
Thank you very much. With that, I will now turn the meeting over to Mr. David Scarsaloni, agent, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent application. Any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Scarsaloni, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Committee, Township staff, and members of the public attending online or in person. My name is David Scarsaloni, Junior Planner, Morgan Planning and Development, and I'm the agent responsible for representing the applicants who are behind me in the audience for any planning matters relating to application 2026-B-08. Next slide, please. Just to move into an overview of the location of the subject property, as you can see, the surrounding uses on screen are the Rugby Settlement Area, the Bluffs Creek wetland to the southeast, the license pit owned by Hillway Equipment, agricultural uses, and estate residential on the west of the property. Next slide, please. Just to move into a brief site description, the property, once again known municipally as part of 1916 Oldbury Road, is located within Oro-Medonte's Rugby Settlement Area. The property was previously severed from a larger agricultural parcel to the north, which we'll discuss in a few slides. The property is currently vacant except for a fence and gate along the frontage of the lot. It is accessed via an existing driveway off Oldbury Road East. The lot area is just under 0.6 hectares or 1.38 acres, and the property boasts a frontage of 78.8 meters along Oldbury Road East. The property is currently unserviced and is not within range of municipal servicing, as is every property in Rugby. And it's lined with mature coniferous and deciduous trees along the south and western edges. Next slide, please. Just moving into a brief overview of the aerial imagery. On the left, you can see the parcel as it exists today, as it was severed, and on the right, you can see the larger agricultural parcel, which was severed previously from consent application 2025-B-14.
If you could just stop for a moment. I think we're having some display difficulties.
No worries.
Oh, I think we've caught up now. Thank you very much,
I'll run
sir.
over that one more time. Thank you. So on the left, you can see the lot as it exists today after the previous severance, which we'll get into in a few slides. And on the right is the previous lot fabric before it was severed from application 2025-B-14, which I believe came to committee last August. Next slide, please. Morgan Planning and Development conducted a brief site visit to the property, and you can see the severed and retained lots respectively from left to right. I'd like to note that the severed lot has an existing entrance and the retained lot currently does not, but we are anticipating a condition that that states that the applicant will achieve an entrance permit on the retained lot. Next slide, please. Just moving into a brief history of approvals. As I mentioned, it was previously severed from a roll number property, which is the large agricultural parcel to the north. It was subject to consent application 2025-B-14 and implementing zoning bylaw amendment application 2025-ZBA-28. The zoning bylaw amendment application rezoned the severed parcel to residential 1, and it was to reflect its location within the Rugby settlement area, as well as to reflect, to be a better reflection of the lot area. And the conditions of approval for consent application 2025-B-14 have been satisfied, and it is finalized, legally binding, and legally approved. And subsequently, in this application, the applicant seeks consent to sever the subject property into 2 separately conveyable parcels, which we'll get into on the next slide. If we could move to that slide, please. Just into an overview of the consent application. The purpose of the consent is to create 1 new residential lot within Rugby. The severed lot will front onto Oldbury Road East and will utilize the existing entrance. The retained lot will also front onto Oldbury Road East and the applicant will obtain an entrance permit to access the parcel. The entirety of the severed and retained lots are within the settlement area. It's anticipated that the severed and retained lots will be developed in the future as single detached dwellings. There's no development proposed immediately as of the time of the approval or of the application. And it's also anticipated that the severed and retained lots will be privately serviced with water and sanitary via a drilled well and septic system. Next slide, please. Just to provide you with a visual of the consent sketch, the lands to the right, or I guess the east in yellow, are the lands to be retained, and the lands to the west in blue are the lands to be severed. The lots are identical size and very, very similar frontage. Once again, I'd like to note that the existing entrance is on the severed lot, and those dotted black lines within the parcels are the developable envelopes based on all applicable building setbacks and development setbacks. So if we could move to the next slide, please. Just moving into a contextual slide. On screen is a summary of the existing and proposed lot standards. Both lots will be fully compliant with the zoning bylaw and the R1 zone. Next slide, please. For context, the property is zoned residential 1, subject to the previously approved zoning bylaw amendment. It's designated in the township as rural settlements, and for context, the county designates the property settlements. Single detached dwellings, which is likely going to be the future development on the property, is permitted at all 3 levels. Next slide, please. Morgan Planning and Development submitted a planning justification report which addressed all levels of policy, including the Provincial Planning Act, the Provincial Planning Act, the Provincial Planning Statement, the County and Township Official Plan, and the Township Zoning Bylaw. The proposed consent is consistent with all provincial policy, conforms to the County Official Plan and the Township Official Plan, and fully complies with the Township's Zoning Bylaw. Next slide, please. Just to conclude, once again, the consent application seeks to create 1 new lot for future residential development in the form of a single detached dwelling, serviced privately or serviced individually with water and sanitary via a drilled well and septic. They're going to be located entirely within the settlement area. Once again, the retained lot is going to require an entrance permit approval. They fully comply with the zoning bylaw, are consistent with all provincial policy, and conform to the county and township's official plan. And so thank you for listening, members of committee, township staff, and members of the audience. I'd like to take this time to answer any questions or address any concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Committee members, do you have any questions for staff or for the agent? No, seeing none. I just have one question, I think. We have the Oldbury Road in that area is a county road, as I understand it. Do we have any obligation to ensure that the retained lot should have a entry permit, or is that simply
Through to you, Deputy Mayor. The County of Simcoe was circulated the planning application, and they provided a comment that a road entrance permit will be required to be applied for by the county. Typically, within rural settlement areas, the county has no objections to providing new entrance permits contained on lots within the settlement area. So provided that they apply for and obtain the entrance permit and they comply with all applicable setbacks for the proposed dwellings, the county would have no objection.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to clarify that it would not interfere with the lot that's to be severed that retains the entry permit. Okay, thank you very much for that. Is there anyone registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no additional registrations received.
Okay, and does anyone come here to speak to this matter tonight? Seeing no one. With that, was there any further correspondence received on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Thank you very much. May we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended one that DS 2026-072, Andy Karskakis, Manager, Planning Services, reconsent application 2026B08, Lynch, Part East, half of Lot 10, Concession 12, Part 1 on Reference Plan 51R 45102, oral, be received and adopted. 2, that consent application 2026B08 to permit the creation of a new residential lot having a lot frontage of approximately 39.1 meters, 128.2 feet, a lot depth of approximately 76.1 meters, 249.6 feet, and an area of approximately 0.27 hectares, 0.69 acres, be approved subject to the conditions set out in Schedule 1 to DS 2026-072. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments with respect to the draft motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for their participation. A copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or is to sign the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to this application. And with that, we will take a 5-minute recess to await the return of Councillor or Committee Member Young.
We're live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we will proceed with application 2026B09. The applicant is McDonald, and the municipal address is 5899 Line 3 North. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the consent application 2026B09 submitted by Ian and Carol McDonald on lands municipally known as 5899 Line 3 North. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the consent application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on the matter?
Yes, correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, May 21, Building Division, May 22, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, May 27, and Enbridge Gas dated May 28, 2026.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent applications and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. McCarroll, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The property is located at 5899 Line 3 North. The property is designated agricultural and greenlands in the township's official plan and zoned agricultural rural, and the current uses of the property are residential and agricultural. Next slide. The applicants are seeking to obtain approval for a long-term lease of the lands for over 21 years to grow Christmas trees on a portion of the property. The lands have been leased since 1994, and they're hoping to lease it for an additional 15 years. The land subject to the lease would have a frontage of approximately 15 meters, a depth of approximately 672.9 meters, and an area of approximately 12.2 hectares, and the use would be a Christmas tree farm. Next slide. This is the applicant's consent sketch. The lands that are proposed to be leased are highlighted in red, and the applicant revised his sketch to ensure that it included frontage along Line 3 North, where there's an existing driveway that provides access to the lands that are subject to the lease. Next slide. The image on the left is an aerial photo of the property. The existing dwelling is in the northwest corner of the property, and then you can see in the middle of the property there's some darker green areas, which is rows of Christmas trees. And then the photo on the right-hand side is the public notice sign that was posted along the road. Next slide. The map on the left shows that the property is primarily designated agricultural, with a small portion of greenlands along the south in the County of Simcoe official plan, and then it's the same two designations, agricultural and greenlands, in the township's official plan. Next slide. This map shows that the subject lands contain unevaluated wetland, watercourse, and floodplain, and they're also located adjacent to a significant woodland. But since this application is for a long-term lease and it doesn't represent actual development, there are no natural heritage concerns. Next slide. The photo on the left shows the entrance to the lands that are subject to the lease, and then the two photos on the right-hand side show the views looking both north and south along Line 3 North. Next slide. These photos show the lands that are subject to the lease for the growing of Christmas trees. And next slide. It is recommended that consent application 2026B09 be approved, as the application conforms to and is consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township land use policies, and it represents good planning. The conditions are listed on this slide and the following slide, and I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. And I ask the applicant, Ian McDonald, who is registered to speak, if he wishes to provide anything further to the staff presentation. Mr. McDonald? I don't have any at the moment. He says that he does not have any such concerns at the moment. Thank you very much, sir. Any questions from the committee to staff or to Mr. McDonald? No. Seeing none. Have there been any persons registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Yes, one registration, Charles Robitaille.
Robitaille? Mr. Robitaille? No comment at the moment? Are you the lessee or lessor in this case? Yes, okay, thank you very much, sir. Or the Christmas tree grower, perhaps? Anyone else present in chambers to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Any further correspondence received with regard to this matter, such as Santa Claus?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Thank you. May we have the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, one, that DS 2026-066, Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, read consent application 2026-B09, McDonald, 5899 Line 3 North, be received and adopted. Two, that consent application 2026-B09 be approved to permit a long-term lease for a total period greater than 21 years between the property owner and Charles Robitaille to grow Christmas trees on a portion of the subject lands, which have a frontage of approximately 15.0 meters, 49.2 feet, a depth of approximately 672.9 meters, 2,207.7 feet, and an area of approximately 12.2 hectares, 30.1 acres, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2026-066. Three, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns with respect to the draft motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Christmas trees? Thank you very much. The motion is carried. This completes the application process and closes this hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for their participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments who are signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to this application. Thank you very much, sirs. With that, we can continue on with application 2026A12. The applicants are Church, Hussey, and Michaud, and the municipal address is 53 8 Mile Point Road. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2026A12 or 12 submitted by Jeff Church, Caitlin Hussey, and David Michaud on lands municipally known as 53 8 Mile Point Road. Please be advised this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Yes, correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, May 21, Building Division, May 25th, and Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority dated May 26, 2026.
Thank you very much. I now turn the meeting over to Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Patton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2026-A12 is for the property located at 53 8 Mile Point Road. The property is designated shoreline in the township official plan, is zoned shoreline residential exception 2. This exception permits a reduced interior side yard setback of 1.5 meters and is currently being used for residential purposes. The purpose of the application is to permit a two-story addition to the existing non-complying dwelling that increases the floor area 44.2 square meters, 476 square feet in the required yard, and further encroaches into the required setback 14.2 meters, 46.6 feet from the average high water mark. The dwelling is non-complying because it has an existing reduced setback of 13.64 meters, 44.75 feet from the average high water mark. The proposal otherwise complies with all other provisions of the zoning bylaw. The property is located on the east side of 8 Mile Point Road with frontage on Lake Simcoe. The property has a lot area of 0.2 hectares, 0.5 acres, and as shown on the aerial image, contains a single detached dwelling, detached garage, and a boathouse. The surrounding land uses consist of shoreline residential uses. The property is partially regulated by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority under Ontario Regulation 4124 for shoreline, flood, and erosion hazard lands. The LSRCA provided comments confirming they support the approval of the minor variance. The photo on the left shows the public notice sign that was posted along 8 Mile Point Road, and the photos on the right show north and south along the road. The site plan shows the existing non-complying dwelling in blue with the existing setback of 13.64 meters and the proposed addition in red with the proposed setback of 14.2 meters. The proposal does not further increase the existing non-complying setback. This slide shows the elevation drawings of the two-story addition. The intent of the enlargement provisions is to allow for modest improvements while ensuring that the degree of non-compliance is not increased to worsen the situation. So the proposed addition is modest in scale and complies with the other applicable zoning bylaw provisions, including height and side yard setbacks. From a massing perspective, the addition remains subordinate to the existing dwelling and does not result in additional visual or physical encroachment towards Lake Simcoe. This slide shows the floor plans for the addition. The addition includes a main floor living area of 41.9 square meters, 451 square feet as seen on the left, and a second story storage area of 10.2 square meters, 110 square feet on the right, for a total of 44.2 square meters. I will note that only the areas with a ceiling height greater than 1.8 meters have been included. So on the right, there's a shaded gray box on the second story. That is the area that's taller than 1.8 meters. The area to the right is less than 1.8 meters. I believe it's around 1.4 meters to be used for storage. This slide shows the existing development on the property from the road, the existing detached garage and house, and then the rear of the existing dwelling on the right. And this photo shows the existing setback to the dwelling with the yellow arrow. The red box is showing the portion of the dwelling that's proposed to be removed as part of the application. And then the photo on the right shows where the proposed location will be sited. Planning staff are recommending that the application be approved to permit the construction of the two-story addition on the basis that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act and conforms to or is consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies and represents good planning. The conditions outlined on the screen are standard minor variance conditions. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patton. I now ask the applicant, Jeff Church, who is registered to speak, if he has anything further to add to the staff report. Mr. Church, please come up and state your name into the microphone and proceed.
Thank you. First off, sorry my yard wasn't cleaner when you took the photos because it's hard to see what we were talking about. Just quickly, it's been in the family for 60 years. We're the 3rd generation to take it over, and we're just trying to bring it up to speed so it can meet our family needs and keep the charm and the history of it. So that's the main reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Committee members, do you have any questions for planning staff or Mr. Church? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone registered to speak to this matter?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. And sir out there, did you come to, no, the other sir, did you come to speak to this matter? No, seeing no one, thank you. Any further correspondence received during the course of the hearing?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
May we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2026-069, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, Reminder Variance Application 2026-A12, Hussey, Church, Michaud, 53 8 Mile Point Road be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2026-A12, specifically to permit a 2-story addition to the existing legal non-complying dwelling that increases floor area in the required yard and further encroaches into the required setback from the average high water mark on lands municipally known as 53 8 Mile Point Road, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2026-069. 3, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions with respect to the draft motion? Seeing none. May I call the vote, please? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those for their attendance and participation. And a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or has signed the notice of decision sheet located at the back of the room in regard to the application. With that, that concludes all of the hearings and meetings for this evening. And we will continue with the reports of municipal officers. So may we have a motion for item 7A, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Clark. It is recommended one that DS 2026-062, George Fedaboncourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, minor variance application, 2026-A11, Exposed Holdings, Inc., 8698 Highway 12 be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application, 2026-A11, specifically to permit the construction of an in-ground swimming pool setback 14.1 meters, 46.2 feet from the average high water mark of Bass Lake and setback 20.0 meters, 65.6 feet from an adjacent water course on lands municipally known as 8698 Highway 12, Township of Oro-Medonte be approved on the basis that it meets the 4 tests for a minor variance under the Planning Act subject to the conditions outlined in DS 2026-062. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Members of committee, the floor is open for questions or comments. Do I see any questions or comments? Councillor Bard, please.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to Mr. Fedaboncourt. One of the conditions in Part 3, Part E, is about the discharge of pool water into the pond or into the lake. Just some reassurances that that includes indirectly, seeing as it slopes down to the lake, that there's going to be measures put in place. I think you had mentioned possibility of a soakaway pit, if you could, or soak-away pit, if you could explain what that is and any sort of maintenance schedule or monitoring of that would occur and how that might become part of the site plan agreement, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So there are several points raised in that question. So the Conservation Authority has indicated that any discharge has to be at least 30 meters, approximately 100 feet from either Bass Lake or the pond, and they have confirmed that that they are supportive of a soakaway or a soakaway pit. So that would be established. At least 30 meters from Bass Lake or the water course. So at the time of drafting this report, the permit it only indicated a splash pad, but further correspondence with the authority confirmed that a soakaway pit was included as part of their comments. They just didn't spell it out and are supportive of the soakaway pit. So the soakaway pit will have to be, or the soakaway will have to be constructed, designed and constructed to the satisfaction of the municipality. And in the condition D in the recommendation, it indicates that the works identified by the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority have to be undertaken to the satisfaction of the Township of Oro-Medonte to address the permit conditions. And implied in that, and if committee wishes, they could amend that particular condition and include the soakaway, but that it would include the soakaway for the discharge of the pool water.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadamoncourt. Supplemental, Councillor Bard?
I would like to recommend that we do specifically include that language in this motion, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bard. Any comments or questions with regard to Councillor Bard's amendment?
I concur.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. Who are the mover and seconder for the motion again, please?
The mover was Councillor Bard and the seconder was Councillor Clark.
Councillor Clark, are you okay with a friendly amendment on that basis?
Sure am.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so what I need to...
Semicolon, it'll be is to add, including a soak-away pit.
To include.
Including the installation of a soak-away.
Including the addition of Mr. Chair, staff have updated the motion to receive the report, and after number 2, subject to the conditions outlined in DS 2026-062, as amended, to add to the end of condition D as follows, to include the installation of a soak-away to accommodate the discharge of pool water. If that is sufficient for Councillor Bard and Councillor Clark.
Thank you very much, sirs. Does that meet your... Please state so into your microphones.
I'm good with that, thank you.
In agreement, thank you.
Thank you very much, sirs. With that, any further comments? Sorry. Seeing none? None? Okay. With that, may I call the vote, please? All those in favor? Motion is, all those opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, item 7B on the agenda, a report from Michael Barton, DS 2026-067. May we have the motion, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. It is recommended 1 that DS 2026-067, Michael Barton, Township Planning Consultant, official plan application 2024 OPA 04 and zoning bylaw amendment application 2024 ZBA 08, Morris Shelswell and Sons Excavating and Grading Limited, 544 Line 11 North, be received and adopted. 2, that official plan amendment application 2024 OPA 04 that would amend Part 6, exceptions, and Schedule H, exceptions of the Township Official Plan to establish a site-specific exception to permit the expansion of the existing excavation business be adopted as Amendment Number 7 to the Township of Oro-Medonte Official Plan and be forwarded to the County of Simcoe for approval. 3, that the zoning bylaw amendment application 2024 ZBA 08, specifically to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the agricultural rural ARU zone to the rural industrial exception 391 holding IR 391H zone to accommodate the proposed development of on the lands be approved. 4, that the required holding H provision not be removed from the zoning of the subject lands until such time as the appropriate site plan is approved by the township, the related site plan agreement is registered, and the township has received the securities identified in the site plan agreement. 5, that staff bring forth the appropriate official plan amendment adopting bylaw and zoning bylaw amendment for council's consideration. 6, that the applicant be advised of council's decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Committee members, the matter is now open to the floor for comment or discussion. Any comments or discussion? Councillor Shell, please.
Yes, thank you, Deputy. As the ward councillor for Ward 5, I have to say that the Shellswells are outstanding supporters of the community and the township. But I have to report that several of the neighbors that live in the area are concerned about the noise and the crushing and of the concrete. They're also concerned about the limitations on it becoming an industrial location for future use. And I've been asked just to make that present at council, for the council to take into consideration.
Thank you very much for those comments. Councillor Shell, is there any amendment that you're seeking with regard to the current motion before us?
No, unless maybe we could confirm that the limitations on the industrial zoning will keep it becoming too noisy and uncomfortable for the members of the communities. Some of the members are also concerned about what may coming off the concrete being crushed, and if there's any impurities in there that could leak into the water table. So I don't know how we can make them feel comfortable and happy. I just wondered maybe we could defer or hold back. It's up to the council.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your comments and concerns, Councillor Shell. Although I think a lot of these things, I'm not in support of deferring it. I think we need to make a decision, and there are other provincial and environmental bodies that oversee the concerns of crushing concrete and the safety measures that need to be taken to make sure it's being done responsibly and in order to take into consideration the impacts on the surrounding area. So I think there are other mechanisms that oversee that, and maybe if Mr. Spagnell, would you like to comment on that component?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mayor Greenlaw. Yes, there are different licenses that you can that regulate certain things related to pit operations and things for the Ministry of Natural Resources. There's also provincial regulation over offsite impacts that is managed and watched over by the Ministry of Environment for offsite impacts related to industrial uses. Ultimately, and in addition to that, there's a requirement for site plan approval as well within the recommendation of the staff report to try to monitor and try to mitigate some of the offsite issues that have been raised here in the meeting tonight. Ultimately, if there is a concern related to dust or noise, those offsite emissions can be reported to the Ministry of Environment for further follow-up and review. And it is through that process that would occur. And just further to that, from a site plan perspective, there are provisions that can be placed into the site plan to have certain provisions about crushing and time of operation and things of that nature that can be reviewed through that process. So ultimately, those would be the provincial agencies that would be responsible for anything to do with offsite impacts. I think in the case with dust, it would be the Ministry of Environment. That would be the particular provincial agency that would take a look at that, but that would have to be escalated up to that level if there is a significant issue that needs to be looked at and reviewed.
Okay. And one supplemental, if I may.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Please proceed.
And just so that council and the public is clear on this, what's before us is the expansion of the yard, and the expansion area of the yard is not permitted with the crushing. The crushing is on the industrial lands that are already zoned industrial. So I just want to make clear that what we're expanding is for the yard's use and not any crushing activity.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mayor Greenlaw, that is correct. The crushing has been limited to the existing zone that is included on the site and that is with the site. And there's an exception zone that's been placed onto the zoning bylaw, which deals with the yard storage and things of that nature. So the expansion or the encroachment of crushing outward is not occurring as part of this application through the zoning amendment.
Yeah. And so I hope maybe that clarity will answer some of your questions and concerns, Councillor Schell, that what we're approving tonight will not include that component that you have identified. It's already permitted in the property that he's already zoned industrial, okay? And Mr. Karaskakis, sorry, your meeting.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to add on to Mr. Spagnol's detailed response, planning staff did contact ministry staff with respect to the crushing component, and the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, they're the bodies that regulate the crushing equipment, which comes with the approval of an environmental compliance approval. So the owner would have to be in compliance with the requirements and the conditions that are imposed on that, specifically for the crushing component. With that permit in hand there, they'll be obligated to meet those terms. If there's any comments or concerns from the residents, then they will be brought up to the ministry level there. Obviously, we'll probably go to the township first, and then we will convey that information to the ministry. But that's part of that approval there too for the crushing of the equipment there. So that's another layer there on top of the existing site plan control that the owner would have to go through with the township.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaskakis. It might be helpful as well, Councillor Schell, if you were to circulate this report to those concerned residents so that they understand the context in which the motion is being approved or deferred or not. We haven't voted yet, so I don't want to make a presumption here. Any further comments or questions?
No, but thank you. We'll make sure that happens. I'll suggest that they look in at the Zoom meeting and get the information right straight from the horse's mouth.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, no further comments or questions to make sure? No? All right, may I have the vote, please? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. That's that one. Do Do we have any further motions, or do we, have we completed, because we did complete C at the beginning?
That's correct, just the motion to adjourn.
Oh. The next meeting date is July 2nd, so tune in for the thrills and spills. And with that, may we please have the motion to adjourn?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended that we do now adjourn at 7:57 p.m.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, I thank you, everyone. I pass the meeting over to Mayor Greenlaw for the council meeting following Development Services Committee.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. I'd like to call the council meeting to order. May we please have a motion to adopt the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 be received and adopted.
Call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? There's none opposed. That is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest that anyone wants to declare at this time? Seeing none, then may we have a motion for the draft minutes of the previous council meeting, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, May 6, 2026 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
All in favor? And that is carried. May we have a motion to approve the recommendations of tonight's DSC meeting, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the recommendations of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 be adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion for the draft bylaws, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2026-009, 2026-010, 2026-057, 2026-058, 2026-059, and 2026-060 be passed in open council on the 3rd day of June, 2026.
Any questions in respect to the draft bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. And may we have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 8 o'clock p.m. to discuss litigation affecting the municipality, minor variance application 2026 A04-2239, Lakeshore Road East.
All in favor? That is carried. So we'll log out. We'll see everyone in closed. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May we have a motion to rise and report out, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 8:18 p.m. and report on the closed session item 6B.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a draft motion for item 6B, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Brent Spagnell, Director Development Services, Andy Karaskakis, Manager Planning Services, and Legal Counsel, relitigation affecting the municipality, minor variance application 2026 A04 2239 Lakeshore Road East, be received.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion for the confirmation bylaw?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that that bylaw number 2026-061, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026, be passed in open council on the 3rd day of June, 2026.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 8:19 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Everyone have a great evening and a great rest of your week. Bye for now.